through the bushes. She was content with no sound of gulls overhead. She still loved the ocean, without question, and at times yearned to be alone on a beach somewhere while the surf pounded the shore. But somehow this place had become home. Who would have expected that a born and bred California girl could find this sort of peace and belonging in a little tourist town nestled in the Rockies? She inhaled a deep, sage-scented breath, more tension easing out of her shoulders with every passing moment. It had been a hectic 3 days. This was her 4th outdoor arts and crafts fair of the season, and she had one more scheduled before September. Her crazy idea to set up a booth at summer fairs across Colorado to sell her own wares and those of the other clients of String Fever, the bead store in Hope's Crossing where she worked, had taken off beyond her wildest dreams. She was especially pleased since all of the beaders participating had agreed to donate a portion of their proceeds to the Layla Parker Memorial Scholarship Fund. Layla was the daughter of Evie's good friend, Maura McKnight Parker, and she had been killed in April in a tragic accident that had ripped apart the piece of Hope's Crossing and shredded it into tiny pieces. Outdoor arts and crafts fairs were exciting and dynamic, full of color and sound and people. But it was also hard work, especially when she worked by herself. Setting up the awning, arranging the beadwork displays, dealing with customers, running credit cards. All of it posed challenges. Over the weekend, she'd had to deal with 2 shoplifters and the inevitable paperwork that resulted. This Sunday evening run was exactly what she needed. Finally tired, her muscles comfortably burning, she took the fork in the trail that headed back to town, her cross-trainers stirring up little clouds of dirt with every step. She'd forgotten her water bottle in her haste to get up on the cool trail after the drive, and suddenly all she could think about was a long, cold drink of water. The return trip took her and Jacques down Sweet Laurel Road, past some of the small wood-framed older houses that had been built when the town was raw and new. She saw Caroline Bybee out watering her gorgeous flowers, her wiry gray braids covered by a big floppy straw hat. Evie waved to her, but didn't stop to talk. The air smelled of a summer evening, of grilling meat from a barbecue somewhere, onions being cooked in one house she passed, fresh-mown grass at another, all with the undertone of pine and sage from the surrounding mountains. By the time she turned at the top of steep Main Street and headed past the storefronts toward her little 2-bedroom apartment above String Fever, she was hungry and tired and only wanted to put her feet up for a couple of hours with a good book and a cup of tea. String Fever was housed in a 2-story brick building that once had been the town's most notorious brothel, back in the days when this particular piece of Colorado was full of rowdy miners. She cut through an alley that opened onto the lovely little fenced garden behind the store, enjoying the sweet glow of the sunset on the weathered brick. Jacques gave one sharp bark when she reached the gate into the garden, barely big enough for some flowers, a patch of grass, and a table and 4 chairs where the String Fever employees took breaks, or the kids of Claire Bradford, soon to be Claire McKnight, could hang out and do homework when their mother was working. Evie really needed to think about moving into a bigger place, where Jacques could have room to run. When she had moved into the apartment above the store, she'd never planned on having a dog, especially not a good-size one like Jacques. She had only intended to foster him for a few weeks as a favor to a friend who volunteered at the animal shelter. But Evie had fallen hard for the big, gentle dog with the incongruously charming poodle fur. "Hold on, you crazy dog. You're probably as thirsty as I am. I can let you off your leash in a minute." She pushed through the gate, then froze as Jacques instantly barked again at a figure sitting at one of the wrought iron chairs. The shade of the umbrella obscured his features, and her heart gave a well-conditioned little stutter at finding a strange man in her back garden.